Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Phoenix, Arizona, it's time for Phoenix Business Radio, spotlighting the city's best businesses and the people who lead them.
Hello, and welcome to Phoenix Business Radio, broadcasting live from the Max 6 Entrepreneurial Center right here in Tempe, Arizona, where we help build businesses and connect you with the right people. I feel like I'm at a mini reunion right now. I have two former classmates from McClintock High School, the best high school in the 80s, right? Back in the day.
Tempe High.
Whoops, we missed
Wait.
one.
McCamey, Tempe High.
Okay, Conley,
yeah.
Were you not McClintock?
But we're all interconnected. I mean,
how did I not know that? You wouldn't be sitting here if I knew that.
I got lucky. I snuck in.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
Did you say Tempe High?
Tempe High, Buffalo.
So Dale Douglas. Were you Dale's here? Dana Douglas?
Yeah, I mean, the Douglas.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Did Dale go to Tempe High?
Yes.
Yeah.
70.
I was 81.
Okay. I think he might have been. How crazy. But Paul, you and I are
Chargers. Yes.
We're Chargers. I know that for sure because we were the same class and we just celebrated our 40th. Yeah. Well, I apologize, Dave. You're a Tempe guy. I knew that much.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
Yeah.
So we are not necessarily here to talk about a class reunion, but I thought that'd be fun to mention that since we've known each other for a while. We are really here to talk about servant leadership and how that fits in with MB Cards, which has been around for a really, really long time.
Wow.
Paul's business. And so let's just get started. I would love for each of you to introduce yourselves. Who are you? What role do you play? And then how did this magical relationship come together as it relates to what you're doing now? Either one of you can start.
I'd like to start. My name's Paul Mulhern, owner of MB Card. We're going on our 39th year in business. Been a lot of changes in the Visa MasterCard world. And to be honest, I've been chasing Dave for 25 years now, Dave, to do this program we're going to talk about later today. And I really respect Dave because 25 years ago, he said no. 15 years ago, he said no. 5 years ago, he said no. So after some convincing, and actually we had the honor of doing one of his projects with him, we were doing the credit card processing, and that's what kind of brought us together. And I'm just fortunate now, after all those years of knowing him and being in business, we're finally putting something together, and we really appreciate you having us here today.
I'm thrilled to have you. And Paul, you've been on with us before. We had Tycoons of Small Biz. I think it's been just about a year.
Yes.
When those guys featured you. Can you tell us a little bit about MB Card? You've been doing it for forever. What makes your service different? And then we'll have Dave have an opportunity to introduce himself as well.
I'm going to steal all the thunder here, Dave. Sorry about that.
Let it rip.
I've been doing MB Card forever. So what we do is we set up people to accept credit cards at their type of business. It can be retail, mail order, phone order, e-commerce, just about anything. But for years, when some people don't know this, but if you own a business and you take a credit card, you pay fees. And it depends on what type of card you're taking, how high your fees are. So for 30 of my years, we were setting up people to take credit cards, but we were always charging them for that. So it was just the way the world was. I mean, now with this new switch in the credit card processing, and I shouldn't say it's new, it's been around for 10 years, but it really hasn't caught a lot of power till lately. I've given a lot of it to COVID. After COVID came out, it'll make sense why this program really took off. But kind of like Ticketmaster does, if you want to go see Elton John, you go to Ticketmaster and you pick out your tickets. At the end, there's a fee. What do? You pay the fee because you want to see Elton John. On the way to see Elton John, every single Circle K and just about every gas station has a blinking sign that says cash price and debit price, cash price and credit price. So what we do now is that was only allowed for a certain amount of businesses, but now any business in the United States can pass that fee on to their customer. So again, we've been doing this forever, but it really didn't make sense because people felt like they were discouraging their customers from coming into their location because they're charging for fees. Well, now after COVID, people are just hoping to keep their doors open. I always say a pound of chicken wings went from $1 to $8. Mm-hmm. And, these restaurants are really struggling. So now if we go up to a restaurant that might be paying $10,000 a month in credit card fees, we say we can now eliminate those fees. So those fees go to zero. So it's always kind of funny because businesses can't quite grasp that right away, can they, Dave? It's just like they don't understand that those fees are going to zero.
For free.
But the consumer, I think, I mean, I'm a consumer, right? I get it. I've now come to expect that fee is going to be passed on to me. Do you find that that's true? I'm okay with that as a consumer most of the time.
If we could
Convince every
if we
business.
can convince and just what you said is perfect for us. And we didn't set you up to say that
Right.
because you want to go to your local dry cleaner. You want to go to your local coffee shop and support them.
Mhm.
And for them to stay in business, if you have to pay an extra quarter for a cup of coffee, it's worth it to
Right.
you. So as soon as a business understands that, hey, I need to do this to keep my doors open, then they kind of gradually come to us. And then when they realize that this is true, I mean, again, it's too good to be true, but when they actually start doing credit card processing and they're not paying fees, it makes a big difference in their business. So what makes us unique than anybody else, to answer your question in a roundabout way, is what we are doing now is if you own a restaurant or a dry cleaner or whatever you're owning, if you have an organization that you would like to donate funds to, every time you swipe a card, instead of it going to Visa, MasterCard, it's now going to a charity of your choice. So we will give you free processing, free credit card terminal if needed, online, whatever's needed to get you going. We can do just about anybody in the United States type of business. Not everybody, but several. And then there's no long-term contracts. So you can cancel at any time. So we're giving people an opportunity to save their businesses with no commitments. And again, like we were talking before we got on air, it's just too good to be true.
Well, there's no people are like, what's the catch? That's what I heard you say. Like it feels like it's too good to be true because we get taken advantage of, or we feel like we do so often.
Yes.
So great introduction, Paul. Thank you. And it really, I think, was important to hear that backstory and really who you've been in this industry for your entire career. So thank you. So why did it take you so long, Dave? And I say that jokingly, but I really do want to hear that. What made the difference for you to say, this is, now I get it, Paul, and I'm ready to run alongside you. But I also would love to hear your backstory. So obviously I got your high school wrong. Shame on me. But you were a firefighter for years.
Yeah, little over 20 years. I was a firefighter. So, and to Paul, saying no to Paul wasn't a personal thing. It was just kind of a spiritual or a personal thing. Everything I do is kind of selflessly driven. I'm an emotional guy. And when I go out, I'm usually trying to disrupt some bad behavior somewhere, whether it's in the nonprofit world, the unions, the governments, churches. I mean, I'm typically trying to find some bad ecosystem to correct it and give it back to the people. And anytime I cross the country, I do these movements, I don't want to attach myself to anybody, because then that message becomes about them versus me. And typically I fund everything out of my own pocket. So once I take money from anybody, it becomes more about them than it does my message. And so by doing that, I created my clothing line and my own brand. So everywhere I go, I sell a t-shirt, and then it keeps me moving across country so I can keep speaking for free. And then in doing that, I create movements, and then everything I create stays in each community after I leave it. And all that money has to go to the people that live there. It can't come to me. So it's free. So I spent 26 years traveling the country, a little over 400,000 miles, building the nation's largest all-volunteer nonprofit in the country called Pink Heels. And again, Paul is he comes from an unbelievable family, and they're very giving, and they're good people. And he sees the value in what we're trying to do by helping small businesses and pumping all this free money into the nonprofit world, churches. And I want to do individual grants to people. So if you knew someone that needed money to pay for a medical bill, our organization just sends you a card that you can only use for your medical issues. So he's fixing, we as a group are going to fix a lot of problems in this country. It's not a tax. So we're creating wealth for our communities by saving the bottom line of our businesses. So I'm super excited because all the things I've done all over the country, all these unbelievable experiences that we've created by meeting people who are suffering, I've never had the money to actually make a huge difference, because I never would take the money from people that didn't believe in what I believed in. And Paul basically is partnering with me, and he believes in what I believe in. So we're going to help millions of people we're going to help. And it's awesome.
And that's the goal.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Yeah. I know. I told my wife before we met, I was single, 19 years. I think I told Paul this, that when we met online, and I was never going to get married again, because I want to travel the world and give everything away.
Right.
I really do. I want to change.
And who wants to sign up for that?
Yes. And I told her, I go, listen, at the end of the day, I'm going to give you all the energy in the world. I'll take you for the ride of your life, but would you live under a bridge with me? And she said she would. So
She's a keeper.
yep, she was a keeper. And that's really me though. So I need partners like Paul. I need friends around me to kind of keep me whole,
Yeah.
because I will give everything away to prove a point. So, and that's what I've been doing since my dad died. I gave all my inheritance away to sick children.
When did
So-
your dad pass?
2003 left me a lot of money, and I hit a golf ball from Santa Monica Pier all the way to New York City on the street and gave all his money away. So
And you know this about him.
Yes, I do. And to kind of go on his story, the way he was saying, when I approached him several years ago, he didn't want MB Card to be on his pink trucks and feel like he has to push my product. And I would like you to share the story about when we actually set you up with credit cards for the Gotcha project. And then I think as a businessman, he'll kind of explain it better to business people that are looking about how this program will help your business. So
great.
Yeah. So again, just recently, I did a poker run. I'd never driven my Harley Davidson farther from here to Sedona, and I decided to do a world record poker run, 6,000 miles across the United States from Tallahassee, Florida to Chandler, Arizona, using Harley Davidson dealerships as my anchor points for the fight against human trafficking. So I threw all that together in 6 months, created a big event. Sound of Freedom, the movie, endorsed us.
Mm-hmm.
They signed a Harley that I raffled off. Again, when I do things, I don't plan to financially do them. I go as I go. I rely on the kinds of strangers. I go where the wind blows. So I didn't have the money to do it. I just knew when I got started, I would sell enough t-shirts and get enough money to do it. So I just go after it.
Can we call it blind faith? Is that what it is?
Yes. Thank you for saying that. It is very much blind faith. And I have the connectivity to people throughout the country after 26 years of traveling in the United States. We can make phone calls and get pretty much support anywhere we want. So I didn't have the money. I hook up with Paul, and Paul says, gets John on the phone and says, we need to help Dave. They set me up with my little machine because I needed it for free. It was free. Thank you very much. No sponsorship. It was just, he made sure that. And so I had this little machine for free, and I started selling my t-shirts across America, because at the end of the day, very few people have cash anymore.
Right.
They don't have cash. And I'm selling t-shirts at truck stops and Harley Davidson dealerships, wherever we go. So the interesting thing about the whole deal was when I got back, I had $1,700 in our account. That's all I had. Probably cost us $180,000 or $160,000 to do the whole event. But MB Cards saved me $3,000 in processing fees.
And that's when the light bulb went off?
Yeah. And then no, that when the light bulb went off. But then when him and I sat here and he goes, how much money of our profits would you be willing to give away to change the processing world, to screw it up? Because
that was you, Paul, asking that question.
Yeah, because your fees were $3,000, right? Or
I saved $3,000 in processing fees. And
so his fees went down to zero. So in that $3,000 is where NB Card makes our profit. So that's how we can afford to give away free machines and whatnot. But then this is where the light bulb really went off. When I told him we could take that profit that MB Card makes and give it to whoever he feels does, basically $1,700. I mean, let's take that $1,700 that I might have made and give it away. And that's when the bulb went off. And then
yes, and him and I both, when we started doing this, we're both getting goosebumps in different ways, right? So he knows the business, I don't. And I get that. But when you start talking those kinds of numbers, up to 50% of all our wealth that we create from saving people money, right? Now you can tell a customer that's paying the fees, if up to 50% of those fees you're paying, it's not a tax. We're actually taking the money and allocating it, dumping it into your community to help you underserved. So it becomes very powerful and message. And another thing too is no other processor can keep up with that. And on top of that, because I built blockchain technology to track your money, we're going to allow everybody to track the money that we say we're pumping into the community. Because if we don't donate and give us any more business,
right? Because
no one ever gives up the wealth they get in the nonprofit world. I've been in that business for 26 years.
You've seen it.
That's all they do is invest that money, and they do a couple of events and make us think they're doing good work. And all that money keeps getting bigger, and the machine keeps getting bigger, and they keep doing fundraisers by us people being the free laborers. So based on the word hope. So we're going to take all that money that we're dedicating to nonprofits in our ecosystem and allow you, the businesses, to track those funds to make sure I'm performing for you. And if we don't perform, don't support us.
Holding them accountable.
Yes.
Yeah. When you talked about disrupting industries, this is a great example of that. Speak a little bit more to that.
Oh yeah. So in any group I get, and he knew this, and I told him, you're going to have a lot of people mad at you. And we've had people reach, yes, we've had people reach out on LinkedIn and say that quit saying you're giving up to 50%. And the reason they're saying that,
They don't believe it.
no, they can't do it.
Okay. Why?
So well, they're like Visa. Does Visa give 50% of their profits back to the people that use their card? No. Do banks give you 50% of the profits of the money they make off us, the customer? No. So Paul and I in our group, we don't have any overhead. We're pretty much no salaries. We're doing it for free. Again, we'll make some money down the road because this is a volume play, but we'll disrupt the whole industry and start pumping real money back into our communities. And if you can't keep up with this, and you're not going to be in business very long. Mm-hmm. So that's how you disrupt it. So I'll give you an example. I was a fireman. I was in the union. And I'm not saying that unions don't provide some type of benefit for a lot of our laborers across country. But when our unions touch the very ecosystem of volunteerism in our communities by selling us out for lobbying money, they're destroying our communities. They have no idea why. So Crazy Dave, got this wild idea that what if a firefighter created his own nonprofit, became the most powerful movement across America because we celebrated women as a whole. Then we, as a group, could allocate all the resources and funds we raise as a firefighter, fire department, or a city government complex to the women of the community because they're the ones that pay taxes and protect our communities. Mm-hmm. So my message with Pink Heels was if we take care of her, she takes care of everything else. Mm-hmm. And the reason I created that is fire departments all over the country have been raising money for MDA, Muscular Dystrophy Association.
Right.
They stand on street corners on the backs of the fire service for the union for a nonprofit. Everywhere I went across the country and found 500 to 1,000 people on a stage, I would congratulate them for raising $70,000 for MDA. And then I would look at every firefighter, the mayor, the fire chief, and the union president, ask them how many people in the community they know with muscular dystrophy. No one could ever pick out one.
Interesting.
So fundraising in this country has become impersonal because of ribbons and causes. Mm-hmm. That was created to make us all fractionalized. They do not want us to come together. But if you create a nonprofit based on the love of the women, I get a 90% approval rating. Everybody's supporting it. That's why we became the fastest growing nonprofit in the United States. And guess what? No one owns it but you. I didn't sponsor it. I give it away for free. I fund it out of my own pocket, and you can't take it away from us. So hence, that's how we got big, because I screwed up the union's ecosystem when it comes to volunteering. Our firefighters should be raising money for the people they swore an oath to protect. That's the people that pay their taxes in a community. Right. Not for some large corporate charity because they're getting lobbying money. So I disrupted that in a bad way. So when I'm in the processing world, I can't wait to disrupt the processing world in a very good way to get the money back to the people.
Were there any parts of this, Paul, that you were like, yeah, well, we can't do that, or well, we can't do that, and or did it just make sense when the light bulb went off for you? And he's like, oh, I see it too, and those goosebumps happen. What have some? I guess my question is, have there been a few hurdles, or has it been just like this? Just makes sense.
That's the great thing about where I'm at now with MB Card. Everything's free. It's, free processing, free terminals, free next day funding. So when you're giving everything for free and you're making money, why not give away free money as well? So it really made perfect sense. I've done pretty well in my life, and it's time for me to start giving back to the community. And this is a fantastic way. I mean, when you save a business, even if it's a small nail salon, the savings $500 or $250, that's a lot of money for that business. So, you're helping that person. And I can't say enough, swipe a card and give to a charity. It's just, there was no way to say no. It was a pretty easy decision because there was no negative about it. It's like, well, I'm going to lose some of my wealth. Well, that's fine. It's going to give other people wealth. Mm-hmm. And then with Dave, with his passion and his drive, I couldn't have found a better partner. And I always tell him, I'm glad you told me, 25 years ago and 20 years ago and 10 years ago, because we probably wouldn't be sitting here with you today. And this wouldn't have failed, because in the past I was making money off of people, and, I needed to make that. But now, with the way everything is, it's just perfect timing for both of us.
It's a very different conversation this time around.
Yes. Yeah. And again, just the fact that he, as a business owner, as a running the property and showing that the MB Card program works was great. So he can spoke for us, saying, it saved me $3,000. And I think you told me this is the first time you've ever come back from an event where he actually had money in his account.
Pretty much, yeah. We always it's always right down to the. My wife will tell you that our credit cards get pretty big because I end up putting it on my own personal cards, and then I worry about that later. I mean, that kind of guy. So I could drive you crazy. As a marketing guy, as a passionate guy, as someone that actually can walk the walk, I've been doing it for a long time, and usually it's because I have to give up my own personal time and money. But Paul's given me the opportunity with this new, I don't know, it's a new ecosystem that the government has approved since 2010, right? This is all legal. He's compliant. A lot of them aren't compliant. He can talk to you about all the businesses that are out there charging fees that shouldn't be.
What's the compliant part? What are you speaking to? That it's okay to pass it on to the consumer?
Yeah, well, if you go to somewhere, I have examples on my phone. It's like they'll have a manager fee or a wellness fee, or it's just all these fees they put. Yeah, COVID
BS fees.
Bingo. They put those on their receipts. They just program it into their POS system, and that's not legal. You can't charge those fees. With us, you're registered with Visa, MasterCard. So all the major card brands know that you're doing this program. And when we give you free technology on our receipts, it's printed out properly. So that's what all gets down to. It's all how it's printed out on the receipts. And if the processor is compliant, you're okay as a business owner. I've got a couple of links from local news stations that actually caught a couple of businesses. Visa, MasterCard hired 50,000 secret shoppers. So they're going in looking for businesses that are doing just what we talked about with these BS fees, and they're finding them. 2 local businesses got fined $20,000 a piece for doing this.
Wow.
So that's, with us, you're compliant. So if one of those secret shoppers comes in, that's fine, because if a customer calls and picks up the phone and says, I was just at MB Card Cafe and they charged me an extra 20 cents for my coffee, and the person, whoever at the card brand, will say, well, have you looked at your receipt? Does it say on the receipt that yes, there was? Was there a sign when you walked in? Yes. Well, you're compliant. So that business is doing it the right way. When that customer called in those local businesses and Visa caught them, they weren't doing it the right way.
Right.
So that's important to know. We're not doing this just MB Card didn't make this up. This is all 100% compliant.
Yeah.
And I was at an art festival in Fountain Hills. I sent him a picture.
Yes.
I was starving and I didn't have any cash. And I ended up paying 11% surcharge because I'm using a card for this little outdoor eatery. So, and I paid for it. And I'm like, I sent a picture right back to him. I go, God, they are doing it illegal too.
And if only that 11%.
Half of it went to charity.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
I mean, and that's, so my daughter, can I plug my daughter's business? So my daughter has some of the best restaurants in town. She has 5. She owns the Porch restaurants.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, and my daughter owns the Bevy, which is in Old Town. So she owns those, very successful. But her cost of business has gone up 30% since COVID, right? Tough to make it. Her bottom line is like 6%, maybe, whatever. Some of those numbers I'm making up. So if anybody's listening right now that knows my daughter, and I don't want to misrepresent her, but she's not making a lot of money, even though the place is full. A lot of stress. Well, I don't know what she's paying in fees. I haven't approached her yet because it's family.
Well, you just did.
Yeah. So,
hey, sweetie, listen to this show.
Yes. And so what my son-in-law and her, haven't heard yet from me, even though they think they know, is the opportunity here. Whether they're paying surcharge or whatever they're doing. I guarantee you 50% from the processor or from Visa or the banks, 50% of the profits someone's making out there off their business isn't going to a charity of their choice. And we can also make her business a referral partner as well. So there's money to be made, not only to the charity, but there's money to be made as a referral partner to their own business. Yeah. Because it's coming from MB Card. And I'll let Paul tell you, this is a great story about the Chamber of Commerce's, because we met the largest Chamber of Commerce here, and they're dying because we have people that don't know how to run businesses running the chambers.
Yes. And you and I, when we spoke by phone about the possibility of having this conversation on air today, you really did talk about how all the different pockets of businesses and industries and verticals that where this is impactful. So let's talk about the chamber. And then I want you to circle back to, for our folks that are listening, they're business owners, they're executive directors for NPOs and large enterprises. I want to make sure they know how to get involved and get started. But let's back it up there. Tell me about the chamber and what's exciting about that.
It's always one of those light bulb moments as well. So I like sharing the story. And I was sitting across the chamber like I am sitting from you today, and I believe they had 400 paying members. And it was, or maybe I'm missing 800 paying members paying $400 a year to become a member of the chamber. And I said, well, what we can do is we can approach all those 800 members and first of all, waive their credit card fees. So whatever they're paying goes to zero. And we will take that money and we'll put it in a fund. Dave's idea, if we put it a big
donor advised fund.
Donor advised fund, and he'll get into that a little bit more because he explains it better. So as we were going through this conversation, I was looking at the president of the chamber, and I said, MB Card will also pay every member's $400 yearly fee. And he stopped and he looked at me and he goes, would you repeat that? And I said, any member that processes with MB Card, I will pay their $400 yearly fee.
And he couldn't believe it.
He couldn't believe it. And then I said, well, he goes, then I can go out and tell everybody if they do processing with you that's not in the chamber, they can become chamber members for free and get free credit card processing, and 25% goes back to a fund. He couldn't believe it. So again, we can impact people that way, and that's just a chamber, and that's one chamber in Arizona. How many chambers there in Arizona or the United States? We can do that for any chamber. Schools, I'm going to let him take the thunder on the churches, but local school, everyone, they're out there selling stuff. We can eliminate that. All those businesses, or all the students' parents that own businesses have business, free processing. Money goes back to the school. So no more car washes when it's 110 degrees out.
Right.
So it just has so many good angles we can go with. And the advisor fund is really exciting. When you start talking, we can pay people's insurance, and maybe someone in the chamber has a business that gets sick and they have to close their business down. We're going to have, $1 million in this pot where we can actually give back to that individual in the chamber, if they have an illness or something went wrong in their business. So again, we're just making it good for everybody. So you can't say no. That's where it's too good to be true comes in daily.
The disruption again for me is as much as I want to help, I'm going to call you out whether you're a leader or not. Because if I offer you something that's too good to be true and it's free and all it does is benefit your ecosystem, and you tell me no, we're just going to go around you and make you look bad. So that's kind of that. That's that's one of those things that he's got nothing to lose because he's been very successful and he has a heart of gold, comes from a good family. But at the end of the day, man, people are in leadership positions right now. It just shouldn't be, because so we've created something this good and you say no. So that's where, and we've run into that a little bit, and we won't throw out names, but we've run into some big charities here. They even give us an email back thanking us.
Oh, even charities are saying this.
No, not saying no. We got an offer. I was going to build them a fire truck. I was going to get them a fire truck to promote their charity here in town that helps mothers, right? And we went to them and delivered it. Everything's free. We'll get rid of all your processing. I'll even go out and sign up businesses and dedicate money to your nonprofit. I'll build you a fire truck for free, so you have it driving around the street so people know where you're at. They didn't even reply back to an email.
Can you guess why? I mean, is it really just, does it come down to it just feels good to be true, or do I have another agenda that I'm running that I don't want anybody to know about? So
it depends on who you're talking. So this is a top-down play, right? So and Paul and I have talked about this. We can go and knock on every little salon person and then meet the little lady that cuts the hair. Yeah. And then we can get her Square and change out her Square, because Square keeps all your data and takes everything. They hold the money. Right. So you're not making as much money. You're paying tons of fees, but that'll take forever. But if we get to someone who owns 40 salons and then they basically know all this money's going back to a charity, it works a lot quicker. The reason is the lady that we met that's in charge of community development took all our information and went right to the boss. And the boss went, we've talked to 1 million processors. We're already happy with what we're doing. I don't want to hear it. We've heard it before, without actually getting to meet us. Yep. They just killed it. They just killed the goose with the golden eggs.
And based on an assumption and a misunderstanding, because they're not willing to hear.
Research who I am.
Right,
if you actually research who I am and look at my background, I will never, ever, I'll live under a bridge before I screw you. Yeah. I will. So the fact he's partnered with me, we're trying to bring credibility back in the processing world, because I just have joined this. It's unbelievable. The bad culture, like insurance salesmen, the bad culture processing guys have created in this country by screwing businesses.
How have you stayed in business so long, Paul, with it being such a interesting industry?
I just hired the right people. I mean, you just have to get the right people around you, because otherwise they're going to take advantage of the customers and MB Card. So I've always just had a good, tight people working for me. I was really scrutinized, I think it's the right proper word, who would work for me. Yeah. And we were always fair. We'd always give people fair prices. We weren't gouging them on our prices of our terminals or gouging the prices of our rates we were passing on. So that's why I would make a little off of someone than make a lot off of one big customer. So I kept my profits low on several thousand million customers that wouldn't switch because I was giving them a good deal.
Throughout your career, throughout the ownership of the business.
And I'll
Yes.
vouch for that because everywhere we go, I call him the Michael Jordan of processing. I really do, because everybody we meet loves him, loves his demeanor, loves his work ethic, loves that he stayed the course. Those are a lot of things that a lot of people don't do.
Yeah.
Now he's a new father. I mean, again, the guy's got to reinventing himself. So it's awesome.
Wait,
It's
new
awesome.
father? Like
Well,
how,
I mean-
how new?
Well, compared to he's got a daughter that owns a restaurant, and
Right.
mine's on spring break
Yeah,
at Jump City.
we talked about it. Right. I'm
Yeah, that is new
there's
to
a
me.
few of us in that realm, 29, 27, and
Right.
16. I'm doing it all over again. Yeah. Talk to us about churches then. Paul kind of teed that off for us. What
Yeah.
do you work in there?
So I'm real conservative, right? And I have a very philanthropic heart. So I believe in creating wealth to give away, but I believe in us having the ability to collectively do it together without the government being involved all the time. So I believe that our people, our kids, our children, our schools need somewhere else to get our information other than just the government.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Whether it's our talk shows, free speech, however it is, we need to get our information that we can gather together, make sound decisions, and start raising our children and do the right decisions in our community. Doesn't need to come from the government. So the churches are dying in this country. I believe it's a plan, because there's a place that we can go to. If you find a good church or find a good leader, they're not all good. Yeah. We should be able to go there and get our information that we need and follow the word of Christ and do the best we can in our own personal lives. And I'm not sitting here telling you what church to go to, but it doesn't need to come from the government when I keep saying that. God gave me a ton of common sense and a ton of leadership skills, and I am altruistic to a fault. And everybody doesn't know what that means. It means selfless. I am selfless to a fault. And Paul will vouch for that based on my personal history.
Seen it.
But yeah, so basically travel in the country with all those folks across America, all those people who are suffering, those pink trucks, just the one I just did, the Gotcha Project, Get Off the Couch and Heal America for fight against human trafficking. I try to visit churches, and a lot of them won't even allow me to come because it's not their program. They didn't vouch it. They didn't create it. The money doesn't go to them. But I'm doing the work of Christ.
Right.
I'm doing the work of God. So they should celebrate me as one of their own, right? Always, 100%. I would wrap my arm around anybody in this world if you just looked at me and gave me eye contact and gave me a smile. I'd hug you. That's my personality. So as I was traveling the country, all I would hear from folks is 38% of the churches in Alabama are going under. They're going bankrupt. Because the church leadership has not learned how to do what you're doing right now on this radio show. They need to get out and reach people. Mm-hmm. They need to go out and touch the younger folks. They need to inspire them in some other way than just ask for a tithing. We're sick of tithing. Stop asking for money. Go out and work for it. And so we're meeting some really cool, conservative, strong churches that have leadership that are reaching out to the younger communities. And Paul and I both looked at each other and went, the greatest way in the whole world for a church to reach the community is get the younger people involved, is save their small businesses.
Right.
So if they reach out with our program, Save the Small Businesses was probably being run by the guy that's mowing the lawn, the guy that's washing windows, the lady that's cutting hair. They're probably in their 20s and 30s. Yep. They get to eliminate all their processing fees. Then they get to dedicate a large percentage of that, because we're going to do it to that church. They're now a part of that church, whether they like it or not. It's not a donation. It's residual income forever. So you're not bugging the person for a donation, but you're helping the person lower their fees, helping their small business as a church, as a leader in the community. So this is a beautiful play for churches. And, I'm proud to say that we're working with Dream City Church. And if you know anything about them, they are the Michael Jordan of churches.
Yeah. So introduce us to Dream City Church, and then how did this come about and what's happening there?
Well, I had a contact that knew Angel Barnett and Luke Barnett, and he just brought me to church and introduced us. And then again, I took it from there. It didn't go any farther than that. I just took it from there and introduced what Paul has given me the opportunity to do to help as many people I can across the nation. And Angel fell in love with the idea, and she's a visionary, and so is Luke. And again, there's touch points where a church can't really, there's a million businesses and they always get hit on to try and get the contacts from them. Like Paul and I could leave today and go, give us a list of all your businesses that are on here. You kind of can't as a professional business. The churches can't do that either. But Angel and their team of individuals can start helping us, giving us a list of people that they know personally.
Yes.
So then we can dedicate all that money to the Dream Center. That's her charity of the Dream Centers across America.
Yep.
And so because she's loved on me, I'm gonna work 1,000% for her.
Yeah.
Not just because of the church, but the church is Lisa and I go on Sundays, we go to the church and we're getting to know Brad there, who's the pastor.
Right.
And it's become like a little family because they're not doing this for the money. I can totally see it. They're embracing my philosophy, my altruism, and they're allowing me to grow. And that's all I'm saying. They're not telling me how to do it. They're allowing me to grow. And I can't wait to give them money, a residual income.
Yeah.
So
I'm sensing there's exponential growth here at some point, right? I mean, once there's some disruption there and people are really saying this is legit. And here's, even just your story about how much you saved on your trip initially giving this a go, it's just going to start happening. And so whether it's a congregation or it's a nonprofit or a chamber, anything, Local First Arizona, you name it, any of these organizations.
I'll give her the NIL.
Yeah.
The NIL stuff that ASU and all the colleges right now.
What is NIL?
That's where they're paying the athletes to play football. They're trying, all these college kids and high school kids are getting paid now to throw football.
Right.
Yeah. NIL stands for
name, image, likeness.
Okay. So that's a new term for me. What does that mean? It's they're getting paid.
So they're getting paid. So the value proposition of going to college isn't about becoming a better servant leader or a good steward of your money or learning your education. They're getting paid to throw a football.
Right.
And so the coach has a lot less say over how you grow up as a person. It's hard for them to coach you. And so now these kids are making $3 or $4 million a year, throwing a football. When they go to pro ball, they're only going to make $1 million. So they stay in school to keep making all that money. It's hard to cut the kid too if Nike and a bunch of other businesses in town are paying the kid more than the coach.
Right.
So
draw the line back to this conversation. What's happening?
So a bunch of people at Arizona State, I went there, I played baseball and I played professionally. So I like ASU, right? Just like you like Chargers and the Buffaloes.
I'm so sorry.
I know. But they came to me and Paul and I, seriously, we want to help every ecosystem. I want to help charity. I want to help the schools. I want to help wherever we can. But they approached me and they said, Dave, you kind of have this way about raising funds by redistributing wealth without punishing anybody.
Yeah.
I'm not taxing anybody. I'm not punishing someone that's wealthy by giving it away to someone that doesn't want to work.
And I'm not keeping the small guy small because he has started with nothing or lost it.
Total opposite. And
Right.
I'll give you Trey Basher met me once and I gave him an opportunity for his grocery stores. And after I left, my wife was there and he had his whole legal team there, Trey and the whole family. And after I left, he goes, you just gave me the greatest capitalistic idea I've ever heard. And so this was another idea I had for POS systems in the stores. And so basically my through Paul and the ability to give this money away, this is the greatest capitalistic play ever because we're benefiting almost everybody and pumping money that's not a tax into the ecosystem that's called the underserved. So the NIL approaches me and says, could you raise money for the ASU sports program? I said, and this is right after we started talking about it, I go, absolutely. I just came up with another idea with a partnership of Paul Mulhern. And it so happened his brother, Bob, is the president of the Alumni Association now. So this is like a great
perfect timing.
Yeah. So I go and pitch and I said, listen, all we've got to do is there's 16,000 businesses in Tempe. I did all my research in the state and the 16,000 businesses in Tempe. If I got 1,000 businesses, and to give you an example, just crazy Dave here and his energy went out and signed up or got about 150 businesses during the holidays until now, excited about MB card. That's just me. Can you imagine the ASU's ecosystem? If they signed up 1,000 businesses on average per month, what we could give them only at 25%, we could make them a 50%er. We give them $200,000 a month in residual income
every month,
forever.
Yeah.
And then as they add new businesses, that continues to grow.
Right.
And that's just 1,000. If you had 4,000 or 5,000, and then all of a sudden it becomes kind of a movement. So they poo-pooed it. They ignored me. They didn't even. We already know about that stuff. We've already worked with somebody else. So they kind of poo-poo it. So that made me mad, right? So at the end of the day, no, seriously, at the end of the day, you think ASU is like the end point? You think you're that good? So somebody, somebody in our own ecosystem, New Liberty University, a Christian school.
And they said yes.
Oh my God, they even give us tons of idea. We're going to pay our student athletes with the money to go out and reach the businesses and do good stewardship. They're going to teach him his business to raise more funds.
So beneficial.
So now they want to, and again, they've even been approached for the tuitions, the largest online tuitions. They take processing, all those fees. So again, and all that money that from what I hear, the rumor is that the president of the school, they asked, you could take this money and put it over here, and the president at that school went, we want to be the Gonzaga of the East Coast. We want to dump all the money in the athletic program because people, even students that aren't athletes, want to come to a winning school.
Right.
They believe in that.
Yep.
So that's the play over here. And now Long Beach State's reached out to me, and I'm going to just keep going because I keep saying this because of Paul. It's free.
Yeah, that's the word.
We're not
is the
charging
key.
anybody anything. I mean, we're redistributing wealth.
Yeah.
Taking it from us and giving it to you.
This may not go anywhere, this comparison, but having been an educator for years in the Kyrene School District, and when the tax break came back to families and couples and business owners, I don't even know how many years ago that's been. It's been a long time, but people still cannot wrap their brain around putting tax money towards a school or a nonprofit and getting all of that back. Do you feel like it's a little bit like that? I mean, how hard can that be? And that's, I mean, the government's involved with that. That's a different conversation, but that's kind of what I'm thinking. What is this similar to? So we don't have to go there, but I'm like, okay, this feels like that because I've had to explain and re-explain and advocate for as an educator and a leader in some of the nonprofits around here.
Yeah, it's the too good to be true. Yeah. And the business owner, they just don't really understand that those $100,000, $200,000 fees or $100 fees are going to go away. Mm-hmm. They just don't understand that until, if you do a transaction for $100, you're getting that whole $100.
Right.
If you're paying for it, you do a transaction for $100, you're getting $95. I'm making it up to make it easy math. And as soon as they get their first credit card statement, it says 0, then it kind of dawns in. So, mm-hmm. It again, that's our big hurdle. It's hard to explain. And we've got customers all over the United States doing it. So it's starting to get a little bit easier, but
there's an education piece here.
Yes.
And then you pointed out, that first time you get it and you look at your statement, you're like, oh, this is legit and for real. So how many more people can you even just say, hey, just at least give this a try and see what we save you and where that money goes.
And another thing is really interesting too. And people aren't complaining. That's the main thing, that people aren't calling Visa and complaining every day that they got charged an extra 20 cents at their dry cleaner because people don't want their receipts anymore. They pay with their phone. I don't want my COVID receipt. I don't want that piece of paper. Email it to me.
Flight miles.
Yeah, flight miles. They just want those flight miles. We hooked up a contractor and his first sale was $20,000. So that was, I can't do my math in front of me. Let's say it was an $800 fee we were passing on. The customer said, I just earned 28,000 frequent flyer miles. I'll be more than happy to pay that fee because I want those frequent flyer points. So oddly enough, people aren't complaining. The businesses we have doing this today, I mean, you're always going to have a complainer. If someone's going to complain, but in general, customers are not getting complained because like you said earlier, you want to go to your local shop. You don't want it closing down and you're happy to pay that extra 8 cents, $1, whatever it is to keep that money in the community now, especially with our program where it's, again, you're swiping for your community, not for Visa or for the major card brands.
I'm gonna speak for every business owner out there, every entrepreneur, every person out there with a great idea that hasn't started yet. I'm gonna give you some advice because I'm a guy that invents stuff from nothing. If you worry about the few that complain, you're never going to get off the ground.
Right.
So anybody that complains because they're getting a fee passed on and another 90% are complaining, tell them, give them a free Coke, free French fry, or tell them to find another business because at the end of the day, you're saving $100,000 a year on your processing fees as a restaurant or a business. And Paul can tell you he knows more about the Berkshire Hathaway deal. Tell him about the car dealership.
Yeah. Well, as we were talking before we got on air, someone was over listening to David and I about what we were doing. And she's from the car industry. And she goes, I tell you what, car dealers would love this. I mean, because they have a maximum amount they can charge on a credit card because they're paying the fees.
Right.
So now car dealers are paying no fees. So you could put a $100,000 car on your credit card if you want, because the dealership's not paying those fees anymore. So one of our reps was talking to a general manager of Berkshire Hathaway, and she was telling about this program, and he said, we're already doing this in 6 locations for the last 6 months, and we're not getting complaints. So we're going to roll it out to they're going to roll it out to all the car dealerships. So right there, every single car dealership should follow what Berkshire Hathaway's doing, because if that guy does it, why wouldn't everybody do it? And that's another problem we have. People don't want to be the first to jump into, pass the fees on. But again, everybody's passing on the fees one way or another. I
Mhm.
get that conversation too. Well, I'm already passing that fee on. I'm like, what are you talking about? Well, the Coke I'm selling for $1, I only really pay 95 cents. I'm just adding 5 cents to cover the credit card fee. So now Dave had a great example with rifle stores. Rifle stores are a real hard account to get approved. So they're paying 5 or 10% to take credit cards. Well, now with us, that fee goes away. So that guy has to raise his price of and any business has to raise the price of their goods and services because of the price of credit card fees.
Mhm.
Well, now they can lower their rates. They can lower their fees with us. So because those fees are going away, so instead of charging people in the fee already in the price, now you can lower the prices
Wow.
on your menu, and you're saving all that money. Plus, so now the rifle store can compete with Kmart because his guns are now the same price as Kmart because they're not
Kmart.
paying fees anymore.
Is there Kmart
Is there
anymore?
even
Paul,
Wow.
your agent is, no, I was Bass Pro Shops. That's a good one. Bass Pro
okay,
Shop.
okay.
Yeah, Kmart.
I love it.
Is there Kmart's anymore?
I honestly don't know, but I haven't heard of a Kmart, at least in
was-
Arizona for a long
Walmart.
time.
I was thinking
Walmart.
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 They
That's
don't
what I
sell
was
guns, though.
thinking. Well, at least I didn't say
Yeah.
Gemco.
Or Fedmart. Remember Fedmart?
I did the best Thousand Island dressing ever.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, still remember.
Right by Ted's Hot Dogs
Oh my
across the
gosh.
street.
Wow. I'm
Yeah.
blown away. We're going to have a conversation afterwards, right? I have an opportunity to connect with a lot of business owners, which I know is part of
Oh.
why you're here today.
Of course.
And I'm
No.
happy to share the story with you guys.
Yeah.
This is as much education as it is,
New idea,
right.
opportunity.
We're looking to hire
Gun
anybody,
stores.
too.
So gun
Anybody's
stores,
looking for
like
jobs,
he
we're
keeps bringing
hiring.
up gun stores. If anybody researches who I am, I'm a big Second Amendment guy.
Yeah.
Again,
I
stay out
gathered
of the
that.
business. Whatever you guys want to protect yourself. None of my business with you and your husband have to protect yourself.
Yeah.
Everybody just stay out of the way of your opportunity. And gun stores are hurting across America.
Yes.
They've made it a political thing. Paul and his group, I guess I'm associated with that. We're one of the few in the country that can give you processing, limit all those fees. In a lot of cases, we'll even do this, and our group has done this before. We'll pay for the terminals, and we won't take any residual income at all for as long as it takes until your terminals are all paid for if we have
Love
to
it.
do that.
Mhm.
So you can get up and going.
Yeah.
We've done that for a few businesses like our little donut shop, Peace, Love, and Little Donuts. We've been working with them. But what I'm trying to get at is the gun stores. It's amazing in my experience doing this, the people that are running businesses, because they're hardworking folks that really don't know what they're paying in fees. They have no idea. They're afraid to make this, and they're going to save hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. And I wanted every gun store to be MB card only. I wanted to create a movement and then put all that money in a fund to protect the Second Amendment and help our veterans.
Mhm.
So, because most of them are veteran owned, a lot of them are veteran owned.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways, gun stores are really big to me.
Well, I love what we've done is sorry, Paul, go ahead.
Oh, I wanted to clarify something. He said that we will pay. We give away free equipment. We give away one free terminal per customer. But the little donut shop, they have POS systems and printers, and they're integrated with DoorDash and all those other things that I don't even know how to use. So, if a business needs more robust processing, we will pay for that system for them. Because again, we want them processing. Now, if it's a big place like that, this could be, $30,000, $40,000 worth of free hardware we're giving them. So what we're saying is, we are not going to write a check for that, but we will pay you back with all of our profit. We're still going to give their 25% away to the funds, but we will take all of MB Card's profits and Dave's profits and pay for that POS system from all their processing, because we want this to make this as easy as we can on every customer. So if it's a small customer that just needs a terminal, that's free. If it's someone that needs a POS system, we can get it to them for free. They're going to pay for it kind of in the background. But, again, we want to make this as simple for everybody and really harmless, really not a big business decision. I mean, in my opinion, I've been saying this for years, every business in the United States will be doing dual pricing eventually. Why would you pay for credit card fees? You no longer have to. So when I'm talking to a business, if they say, well, let me think about it, I said, well, here's my card. When you want to start saving money, call me. If you want to start saving next week, 6 months, next year, you are going to do this program. Why would you not do it? So when you're ready to do it, let me know.
Yeah.
And then we just kind of go on to the next person because, again, it's too good to be true.
Yeah. No, again, I get a little ahead of the skis sometimes. Want to give everything away, and thank God he's here to tell you.
It's a perfect partnership.
Yeah, no, explain. Okay,
Yeah.
we're not really. Yeah, so we delay our income.
Yeah.
for a
Yes,
specific
that's a great way to
business.
say it. Yeah.
We delay our income. And again, what's wonderful is there's so much money here.
Yeah.
And you know, it's why the processors only get a nickel of every deal or a quarter of every deal, but the numbers add up.
Mm-hmm. So I'm a business owner. I'm listening or watching today on LinkedIn. How do I get involved, and where do I start? What's the plan there?
Well, the best thing would be to go to our webpage, mbcard.com. That kind of explains what we're doing. And then we have another webpage called mbcardnpos.com. That explains a little bit more of the nonprofit program.
Yep.
But any way to reach us, email, and again, it's a real simple process. Let's say you own a business anywhere in the United States and you need a free credit card terminal, and you're a dog groomer in anywhere, Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
I send you a form. You just fill it out. I send you a DocuSign that actually has all the official paperwork that says it's free and you're not going to be paying anything. So it's the customer's decision. As soon as they sign it, it goes to the processor. We supply them with the free machine, and off they go.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to make it as easy as we can for everybody as well.
Yeah, it's and then the referral partnership, same thing. If you want to come in here, like you could be a referral to help money come to the radio station.
Yes.
So the businesses sign up, you stay out of it, and you just say, listen, you want to talk to these guys, they got a pretty good opportunity. I know you've talked to a bunch of other processors, but I want to tell people out there right now, listen, if you're a business owner, you haven't heard anything like you're going to hear from us. There's not another processing company that gives you access to the back end. I have blockchain that tracks the money. So at the end of the day, no other processor can compete with MB Card when it comes to the transparency of why we're doing what we're really doing. And we're not selling processing. We're creating a movement to start giving money back to the underserved without penalizing people.
Right.
So,
and MB Card is not the actual processor, so we don't have any liability or any risk. So it's very easy for us to sign up anywhere, make it easy as we can for them as well.
Mm-hmm. I'm a nonprofit leader, and I'm wanting to know how I can get involved. It's the same thing. Just get on the website, reach out to you guys via LinkedIn or email address, and have that conversation, right?
It works out even better for nonprofit. I have chapters all over the United States. Instead of going out and asking for donations, the chapter becomes a referral partner.
Yep.
They go out and sign up businesses that they typically are bugging for donations and say, hey, how would you like to change over your processing? Get rid of your fees. And then another 25% is going to come back to your favorite charity, Pink Heels. And so they're making up to 50% of what we're going to get from residual income from each one of those deals. So this is a great way for nonprofits to create wealth when they're dying as well, just like churches.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like the fact that you're no longer writing a check. I mean, if his daughter, again, another example, she's expected to write checks all the time because she's got these big successful businesses. Well, now she doesn't have to write a check because every time she swipes a card, it's going to her church.
I hadn't even thought about that.
Church or nonprofit. No one's asking her for donations
perspective,
anymore.
Yes.
That's huge. And I will say for the handful of nonprofits that I'm involved in on a leadership level, we're noticing a change in which people want to engage and interact with the nonprofits. They're not wanting to attend a gala anymore. They're not wanting to write a check. They're really wanting to be in partnership with the nonprofits in a very different way than we have before. Even the enterprise level, they're saying, hey, I don't want to spend $30,000 on a dinner. Help us find another way to get our employees and our teammates involved. So this is fantastic.
Yeah, every time you swipe a card, you're donating.
Yeah.
Each one of us has 5 to 10 businesses right now. Just within an hour, we could come up with from the pool cleaning guy to so like Angel born out of Dream City. She's giving me 4 or 5 contacts. If we just do 3 or 4 of those, 2 or 3 of those, she's talking 10 or 20,000 a month in residual income to her dream center forever.
Yeah.
I mean,
Paul, you said you're hiring. Were you serious about that?
Oh, absolutely.
We've got the referral program. Who are you looking to hire as well? Let's talk a little bit about what you guys need. How can we, or whomever that's listening, support what you're doing?
Well, I'm looking for people to work for MB Card as salespeople, but you're really not salespeople because you're giving everything away. So, if you're anywhere looking for a job, you can give our processing away, give 25% away, but you still, if you're selling those accounts, you're going to make money on residuals as well. You're going to take a part of MB Card's profit. So that's what I'm saying. Anybody in the United States is looking for a job. It's not really selling. Am I saying that right, Dave? It's like, you're helping businesses keep their doors open. They're not doing anything different than you're doing today. Yeah, you're exactly.
And advocating.
You're not changing the way you're doing business. People are going to come in, swipe cards like they are today on might be the same terminal you're using today, but you're just not paying those fees. It's just a shift from, from you, the business owner, paying the fees to the customer.
Mhm.
And we always give the customer the option. If you're online, people always say, well, online, if I do your program, they're stuck paying those credit card fees. And I'm like, no, they don't. We also have an ACH button. So when you go to checkout, it says credit card fees, $100, you're going to pay $4, or with your check, it's free. So we're giving the people the choice. Even people say, well, I don't do that to my customers that come into my shop. You're not doing anything to them. You're saying, hey, if you use your credit card to collect all those frequent flyer points, I'm just asking you pay for it because I want to keep my costs down.
Mhm.
I don't want to raise my rates that people are actually paying cash. And if you don't want to pay that fee, pay cash.
Which is the opposite of what the little sign by the cash register usually says.
Mhm.
If you can pay cash, do it, because I don't want to have a bunch of money going into the credit card. So
Bingo.
we're talking about the opposite.
Yes,
Right,
exactly. And it's
Yeah.
all compliant. It's
Yeah.
all 100%
Bilingual. If we could find a really
Yeah.
someone that's got a little go-to wants to go out and reach the Spanish community, right? Because they're getting hammered and they don't even know it. So
We need to have a conversation.
Yeah. One more thing on
Yeah.
that thought too. It's this industry is not rocket science. I mean, this is not a big, huge, like you're signing a mortgage. This is a 2 signature contract. So I have training videos. I can send anybody these training videos. And if you spend 5 hours watching these videos, you will be a professional 100% certified merchant service salesperson. Because again, it's not that difficult. I mean, you're doing processing, you're paying, you're still going to do processing, you're not going to be paying.
Mhm.
So it's a very easy sell, if you want to call it sales. So yes, I'm looking for people anywhere, and we will
again,
train them and give them
yeah,
the
and
info.
again, I would also say out there, I don't like sales. I can't stand it because you don't separate. I'm not separated. I got a million guys doing the same wording. I promise whoever joins Paul and myself, you have a platform that no one's ever done it before. You're reinventing, you're creating a movement here.
Mhm.
Be a part of the movement. Don't be a part of processing. That everybody can do processing. We've created a whole new way of allocating resources and funds to the community by helping small businesses. So when you go to approach a business because you're partnered with us, it's going to be really hard for people to say no. Then tell me they told you no, I'll go after them.
Mhm.
I mean, because you can't say no, start helping people.
Mhm. Mhm.
So this is an unbelievable thing he's created.
And another nice thing is in my business too, people are always trying to give you a better deal. Well, how can you do a better deal than free? And every time you swipe a card, it's going to a charity. I mean, there's just, again, I can see the expression on your face. It's just, it's too good to be true.
And transparency.
Yes, 100%.
Because we have other
transparency.
processors who are doing the same thing. But to hold the money, they only pick a few charities to pick from.
Yeah.
So it's like the United Way thing.
Yes.
No, I give you free will. You can tell me. And in fact, if your mother needed some money to pay medical bills, we'll set up a fund and send her the money until our medical bills are paid for.
Mhm.
Okay, I want to help everybody. So at the end of the day, we can because we'll have the wealth to do it.
Yeah. Exciting.
Yeah, it is
I
very
can't wait.
exciting.
And my wheels are spinning. We definitely need to have a conversation.
And we'd love to help. I mean,
Yeah.
again, that's a movement.
Right. It is. Yeah. I can get behind that for sure.
Yeah.
And I know plenty of people in the Valley and nationwide who would. So thank you for sharing your story and your success. That's really what I'm hearing is that you both have been successful in very different ways. And at the same time, at this stage in life, it's about how can I continue to take care of my family and my community and also broaden that from a servant leadership perspective.
Yes.
I don't need any more necessarily, right?
Amen.
Yeah.
I got to keep the lights on. I got to, get my kids through college. I got to travel, do the things I love to do. And it's an and. It's not a but, it's an and. How do I do it? And how do I serve other people? Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Amen.
it's wonderful.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And we appreciate you having us here.
I loved having you.
Yeah.
Tell us again one more time where to find you guys. It's mbcard.com.
.com. That's my main webpage. And then we get several other ones, but Dave has some really good videos he's done too. I think I don't know if we have those. Some are on my webpage.
Yeah, it's
but
MB Card NPOs, which is nonprofit organization.
Yeah.
So MB Card NPOs, you can go there.com and which is on the website as well.
Perfect. And where are you on social? Are you guys taking advantage of social right now?
Well,
Dave and I
again,
met. We used to.
We're on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram. A lot of personal stuff. MB Card, basically, we're this whole thing is only 3 months old. So,
we should start advertising in the penny saver.
yeah.
Oh my
Do they have
God.
that still?
They pass it out at Kmart, Dave.
Kmart.
The penny saver has a little stack right
Fed
there.
Mart
at the
right across from
beginning.
Ted's Hot
That's
Dogs.
about as much marketing as we've done so far.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, again, we're going to.
We have a huge network already because
Yeah.
of what but with you and
Yes,
starting to do,
love
I
it.
mean, let's just keep it going.
I love
It's
it.
got to get the word out.
Yep.
It's got to get the word out.
I'd love to to run alongside with you guys. So
I
thank you
appreciate
again
that.
for being here. Absolutely. You've been listening to Phoenix Business Radio, broadcasting live from the Mac 6 Entrepreneurial Work Center right here in Tempe, Arizona. And apologies to my friends, the Tempe Buffaloes, for not giving you credit for, birthing Dave Graybill out of there. I was giving McClintock credit, but I can't do that. So with that, some media leans left, some lean right, and we lean business and nonprofits. Until next time, I'm Karen Nowicki. Thanks for listening.
It was every life. It wasn't Black Lives Matter. It was every life matter.